Now we're going to be switching modes to kind of preparing ourselves to receive the sermon. Our sermon today is going to be given by Pastor Adonia, and she's going to be speaking about the legacy of Reverend Sung Myung Moon, integrity, and the path that we're all walking following his passing. So we're going to be having a short offering video play now, so please feel free to close your eyes and take a moment to reflect, and then Pastor Adonia will be coming up and starting our sermon today.
Isn't that beautiful? Quotes and music. I really want to encourage you one more time to come up here after service at 12 o'clock. We're going to be showing this video, Faith and Reality, which is just a fantastic compilation of the activities in Reverend Moon's life and the philosophy of life that he lived by. You get to see these quotes in action through the things that he did. And it's really great to just see in video a remembrance of our true parents. So please come up at noon if you'd like to get a little bit more. So today we are celebrating the 6th anniversary of Reverend Moon's passing. And some of you were here at that time and some of you were not. And I was driving from Missouri to Texas at that time. And I think it was, for many of us, it's kind of like the foundation of our life and the foundation of our faith, the foundation of everything that you do with your families and the direction of our life. All came from our understanding of the divine principle and this understanding of love that true parents and Jesus have brought to us. So I think for any of you who were around and who were aware of it, it was a very big day. And I know for myself, I had mixed feelings. Part of me just felt like, oh my goodness, Reverend Moon has gone home. He's gone back to his parent. We have our true parents to be parents to us, but our own, Reverend and Mrs. Moon didn't have a true parent to them, but they had our heavenly parent. And so I thought, this is beautiful that Reverend Moon can go back to his parents. And at the same time, it's just a feeling of sadness and a little bit of loss and not knowing what to do next. And I think anytime we lose somebody who is valuable and important in our life, no matter how much we're happy for them that they've gone home to God, there's always a feeling of loss on our part that they're not here with us. So, and I apparently still feel that way. So the first 3 years, and we really followed the Korean culture, and when somebody passes, the first 3 years is a time of mourning where we really offer our love and our sorrow and our pain to God, and we really allow ourselves to feel the fullness of our grief. And that is what we did for 3 years. But I was in Korea on the 3rd anniversary of Father's passing, and I got the opportunity to be in the room the morning afterwards with Mrs. Moon, with our true mother. And up until that point, anytime I saw her on the video or anything, she looked so sad to me, her so downcast and tears. But that morning, the morning after the 3rd anniversary, she came out and it was like, okay, let's go. I'm happy to be here with you. I'm happy that I have Father next to me in spirit, and we are going forwards. And I've only seen that on her face from that point on. It doesn't mean that we don't feel the pain still. I'm sure that Mother does as well. Just like anybody in our life who we have lost, we never quit missing them. But I'm really excited that now, whenever the anniversary comes around, it's a time to celebrate the life of Reverend Moon and the life of our true Father. So that's why I really want to encourage you to come up after service and watch this video and just be reminded of what a miracle it is of everything that they've accomplished and the miracle that we are here. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit about his legacy and his character. And what kind of character as well did Jesus have that made him the Son of God? What makes a person a true child of God? What kind of character did Reverend Moon have that allowed him to do his work, allowed him to do the work that he did? I think about this, I'm like, well, how can I talk about Christ-like character? I mean, I feel like every message that you have ever heard probably has something to do with becoming more Christ-like, because that's what this is all about, right? And there's so many different ways that character can be expressed. So I was a little bit lost at first on what to talk about. But this week I was invited to a Facebook group. It was called Women Who Lead, and it was started by a friend of mine, and she's invited a lot of women who she feels are strong and powerful and I don't know what. Anyway, she invited me. And one of the first topics of conversation that came up in this group was, what is one of your biggest challenges right now? And they just invited people to share, not to complain or vent, but to share with putting yourself out there and with the thought of, this is something that I want to overcome and get better at. So 2 things came to my mind. First of all, I thought of my daughter Mia. And she has such a strong personality and incredible character. She is, of course, incredibly observant and kind and helpful and bright. And then there's also the aspect of her that can be very obsessive about how things are done and strong-willed, and that was one of the first things that came to my mind is it's a challenge for me to parent my daughter right now. But the other thing that came to my mind was that I really want to be the person that I'm called to be. And I don't just want to do the things that I feel called to do and say the things that I feel called to say and look the way that I'm supposed to look. But I really want to be that person, inside and out, in every aspect of my thoughts and my feelings, and then would be expressed, of course, in the things that I do and that I say and what everybody else sees. But I really feel like it's not always easy to manage your thoughts the first thing when you wake up in the morning. Maybe you're feeling grumpy first thing in the morning. Or it's not always easy to manage your daily habits when it comes to even such a simple thing as putting God's words first in your day, or eating things that benefit my body instead of hurting my body. There's like so many different aspects of who I feel called to be, and then trying to really be that person inside and out. So that brought me to the topic of integrity. And I do feel that is something that Jesus and our true parents had without any deviation from. And that total integrity with who they were called to be, being that person without straying from that path, is what allowed them to do everything else that we see and allow them to say all the things that we heard and that we read about and in the Bible and in God's words. So I want to share some quotes from the Bible, and then I want to take it a little bit deeper from there. So first of all, this is from Proverbs chapter 4, verses 25 to 27. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil. This is from James 1:22. But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Be doers of the word. Psalm 41:11-12. I know that you are pleased with me, for my enemy does not triumph over me. Because of my integrity, you uphold me and set me in your presence forever. And then last, Proverbs 27. A righteous man who walks in his integrity, how blessed are his sons after him. So these, I feel, give a little bit of the, what is it, kind of like the impact or the experience of integrity, that you can see how it looks like in your life, what it feels like in your life, what kind of an impact that leaves on your children and in your history. So the word integrity, I like to go to the root of a word because we hear a word and we know what it means to us because we've heard it used a certain way and we use it a certain way in our life. But I think it's good to go to its origin. So the word integrity comes from the same Latin root as the word integer. And so math people, what is an integer? A whole number, right? You can't have an integer that is 1.5, right? Integer is only a whole number. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3. There's no half. It's a whole number. And so integer or integrity represents a wholeness of a person as well, without any deviation or divisions of self. It's a whole person. So a person of integrity is living rightly, not divided, nor being a different person in different circumstances. A person of integrity is the same person in private that he or she is in public. And I think that this isn't something that we see so often in our experience of life, but it is something that I think is very highly regarded. And I think many people strive for integrity. In fact, you can find a lot of good examples of integrity. You can even find good integrity in corporate cultures. I worked at Starbucks and for a while, but one thing that I loved about Starbucks is that their thought process is that if we treat our employees, or they call them their partners, the same way that we treat our customers, then we will have happy employees, which will result in happier customers. So we're not going to treat our customers any differently than our employees. So there's no division in how they treat the people that are related to their company, right? So they have integrity in that way. You can find integrity in families. I find that if you know a family that you just admire and that they're very strong and that they relate well to each other, and you feel like a aura of happiness when you walk in their home, that family probably has a lot of integrity. The parents probably teach their kids things, but not only do they teach them the right way to live, they're modeling the right way to live. And so then their kids naturally feel this is a good way to live, right? So there's an integrity in the things that the parents say and do for the children to follow. So you can find good examples of integrity in families. I also feel that there's a lot of integrity with activists. You know, there's a lot of activists who feel very called about certain issues. There's a lot of different issues out there, but something that I admire is that I feel activists feel something on their heart, and they don't feel that they can rest unless they do something about it. So there's an integrity between what they feel called to do and in their actions. These are some examples of integrity that I feel like we can find just looking about us. But then, are all of those examples always Christ-like? Are they always God-like? They might be, but not necessarily. I could also have integrity. Let's say my goal was to make my family miserable, which doesn't make any sense, but just for the sake of example, right? If that was my goal and I felt called to do that, I could do that. I could unite all my actions and my words and my everything to do that. And I could say that I have integrity, but is that Christ-like? No. So as I dug deeper into this topic of integrity, of myself wanting to be a person of integrity, and thinking about the examples of integrity I have around me, I still felt that there's something missing, and that integrity is not the whole thing, right? And this is the missing piece, I feel, is really the example that we got from Jesus and that we got from our true parents, and that our integrity has to be centered on God. It has to be centered on God. In our faith, we have another term that is related to all of this. It has somewhat the same meaning. You may have heard of it before, and we call that mind-body unity. So the basic concept of mind-body unity is that in our life, our mind and our body are often at odds, right? Our mind wants, in our heart, we want to do good things, and our body often is more concerned with our comfort, or is more concerned with our physical needs or physical desires, and it's hard to get them to mesh and to happily do the same thing together. And I think it's a very typical religious concept that we need to bring them together. So many times you hear about the monks in East Asia who go live in a cave for several decades, and monks and nuns in the abbeys, they very limit the foods that they eat and the sleep that they get. That's why many people do fasting, or they do cold showers, or there's all different kinds of things that people do to try to weaken their body so that their mind can then have more control in their life. And I think that that's a very typical kind of religious concept of mind-body unity or integrity. And honestly, myself, automatically, whenever I hear the words mind-body unity, my first feeling around it is like, okay, you got to strike the body so that our mind can prevail, and strengthen the mind so the body will follow the mind, and then you have mind-body unity, and then you can do good things, okay? And there's an aspect of truth to that, but I was reading a section in the Way of Tradition. The section is on mind-body unity, and I don't think I've ever opened up that section, because I thought I knew what I would find in there about striking the body and strengthening the mind. And I was like, okay, I know that stuff already, and it's also not very fun. But because I was going to be talking about integrity and mind-body unity today, I opened that section. And what I found was almost none of what I was expecting to find. And I realized that just like with the word integrity, or with many words, we have our own interpretation or our own experience of what we think they mean, when it might have something deeper to it. So, let's see here. Should I go to that yet? Anyway, I found these beautiful, really beautiful quotes that showed me a whole other depth to this concept. And that really made me feel, yes, this is Christ-like character, and this is what I want to be striving for. So this is some of the quotes that I found, but I encourage you to also go and read that section. There's a whole feeling that comes reading the whole section. Do you know why your mind and body are struggling all the time? It is because love was removed through the fall of man. It didn't say because your body is evil and because you have to strike it. It's because love was removed through the fall of man. Since your mind is subject, your body was supposed to be an object and unite completely with your mind. However, your body has been acting as another subject. Two pluses repel each other, and Satan has controlled your body through that disunity. I've got a few more. Then which would be the first way to create unity? By serving other people and becoming one with others first, or by bringing our mind and body into oneness? Which is the easier way or the faster way? He said this in a speech, and people answered, serving others. But honestly, if I hadn't been reading this, I probably would have said, you got to unite your mind and body. First, you have to strike your body and strengthen your mind. But actually, it's by serving other people and becoming one with others first. This is because Satan is always getting hold of our body. Then why can Satan be separated when you serve other people? It is a universal principle that when you serve other people, you are in a position of being far better off than Satan, so he's naturally destined to leave you. This is because the trait of Satan is self-centeredness. That is the core trait. So in your fleshly side, Satan is already guiding and undermining you. But if you want him to leave or have him be separated from you, just be nonchalant to him and become faithful to other people. Now, he's not saying God is our center, right? So he's not saying have faith in other people, like have faith in God, but love other people, have faith that other people are good. Then Satan cannot imitate you because he is the symbol of arrogance and self-service. The greatest problem of humanity today is the separation between mind and body, with these two contradicting each other instead of harmonizing with each other. In restoration, it is when the divine mind or soul becomes the master of the human body that a person's love can become God-centered. It is as if God's mind were coming to dwell within that person. As a person responds to his divine mind, that person will find his purpose and goal. Fallen man has no hope or direction unless that connection with the divine mind takes place. So again, here, it's talking about restoration, and I think many times we have this, like, I have to do conditions, which we should do. It is good to make conditions to strengthen, to sometimes weaken our body and strengthen our mind, but that's not the end goal. The whole purpose of everything we should do is to connect to our divine mind and soul that then becomes the master of our body. Oh, where is it? There we go. When we respond to that mind, we'll find our purpose and goal. I really believe that when each of us can truly find our calling, our body won't have that much of a hard time. I think our body actually is designed to work together with our mind and is waiting for us to know what our true purpose and calling is, and then it will much more easily help us out. One more? No, okay. So when you begin to experience this, and I feel like it manifests in so many different ways, because each of us is a unique expression of God, then this is what I feel is true mind-body unity, or true integrity. When our thoughts, words, and actions are all not just doing the same thing, but in alignment with God's heart and God's mind and what God would do if God were physical on this earth. I really believe that mind-body unity is about creating an environment where God can dwell in you and experience the fullness of God in your life. So we were singing this song this morning about the Father's dwelling place. And I've sung that song so many times, but I don't think we always remember that that's us, right? We are supposed to be the Father's dwelling place. I really feel that this is what set Jesus Reverend and Mrs. Moon aside, and have shown us how to live that way as well. That everything that they did because they knew that this is what God would do if God could do it. Right? Everything that when Reverend Moon spoke words, and sometimes they were harsher words, and sometimes they were loving words, but he knew that God wanted to say these. God wanted people to hear these words with their ears, but he didn't have a way to speak it so that many people could hear it. But Jesus could speak those words. True Father could speak those words. And this is what I feel is the legacy that true parents are leaving for us, that Jesus left for us. And sometimes I think we see Jesus as somebody who came to save us, which is true. But let's remember what salvation is, okay? Salvation is not just being removed from a difficult situation. The actual meaning of salvation, to be saved, is to be returned to the place you were before you got into trouble. Okay? So if my daughter were to fall into a river, I wouldn't consider her safe if I just lifted her head above water and we were still floating down the river together. That wouldn't be saved. She wouldn't be safe, in my mind, until she was back on the bank where she was before she fell in. And the same thing is with our salvation. But the problem is we don't know where we were before we fell away from God. Most of humanity has no idea who God originally created us to be. So sometimes we misunderstand Jesus' salvation and true parents' salvation for us. What they're really doing is showing us a way to become God's true sons and daughters, the same people, just like how Jesus spoke God's words and did the things on the earth that God would do if he could do as a person. Jesus and true parents have showed us a way to become the same people who can do those things. Dare I even say God incarnate? Okay? But I really feel that the core, like the beginning point of that, or what all of that hinges on, is integrity and mind-body unity. And I know some of you are trained to think, okay, I've got to go do a condition now. I should make a condition. I should fast for a week or something like that. But let's go back to this quote. Which would be the first way to create unity? By serving other people and becoming one with others first? Or by bringing our mind and body into oneness? Let's serve other people. I just came back this morning from camping with the middle school-ish kids, 9 and up group. And I had to tell you, I had a fantastic time. I was a little nervous. I was really grateful I wasn't organizing such an outing with about 20 little kids. So I give all my admiration to David Stein for doing that. I was a little bit nervous because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be kind of crazy. There's going to be all these kids running around. Like my boys are still 8 years old. They've never really done something like this. I know they're going to be hyper. When are kids going to get to sleep? These are the kind of thoughts going through my mind. But we got up there and I could tell David Stein is very good at creating an environment that calls kids to be their best selves. So first thing we did, everybody got into teams and they're pitching their tents, and it takes about an hour to put up the tents because we put the things together wrong and we put the stakes in too early. You have to pull them out and put them in again, but that's all part of the fun. And And they're all working together to put up the tents. And I know myself, if I'm putting up the tent with my kids, I tend to be like, no, wait, that's wrong. No, okay, just let me do it myself, But they work together so well, and it was so great to see, 8 and 9-year-olds, the accomplishment of pitching your own tent, right? And then it's dinner time. And I know that myself, I could have easily gotten stressed, like, okay, I've got all these kids to feed before it gets dark, how am I going to do this? But David Stein, he asked for volunteers, and then all of a sudden there's 5 volunteers, and they're setting out the plates with the napkins under them, and they're all putting the carrots onto each plate so everybody gets their vegetables, and it was amazing to start seeing this service coming out of our young people and doing it joyfully. And I really believe that because of this, the service that they started to do for each other, I didn't hear any arguing. I didn't hear any crying. I didn't hear any complaints. It was the smoothest camping trip I've ever been on. And I've never been on one with 20 kids, but I can't imagine one going so smoothly. And I really believe it's because they're already learning to practice this serving other people first. Bringing your actions in alignment with what we believe to be true. And then things work. Sometimes you wonder why things don't work in your life. We can't control everything in our life, but if things are consistently not working in your life, you might want to examine how you are with this aspect of serving. Because this is really God's character, right? This is the essence of who God is. It was the essence of what called God into making creation, right? The desire to express and to give everything that he had so that it could be shared and enjoyed, not only by him, but with his children. And it is the exact opposite of everything that evil or Satan is, self-centeredness. I know when I'm starting to get self-centered, I can feel it. It's like this cloud. It's like a static, like feeling. And I want to blame other people for it, but I know that there's nothing to blame for that. I know that it's my own self-centeredness. And centered on God, right? So, and let's also give our recognition to others. I feel like sometimes we don't appreciate when we see this quality in other people. But I really felt yesterday when I was watching these kids, I really need to appreciate this quality when I see it in other people. They may not look like that tomorrow. Parents, I'm sorry. They may come home and they may not be serving you. But when we do see it in other people, let's really recognize them and appreciate them for that. Okay? And let's celebrate that and recognize that in ourselves when we can do that, instead of beating each other up for their faults and instead of beating ourselves up about our faults. Let's appreciate that we have, each one of us, no matter how bad of a person you think you might be, no matter how bad of a person you can find out there, every person has this divine, innate quality of love, a divine heart that connects to God. Each person has that within them. And some people just have a harder time to recognize it or to find it. So let's recognize that in each other and bring it out. And let's carry on this legacy that we received from Jesus and from true parents. So I want to finish with that today. Really, again, one more time, please come up and watch the video after service. And please join me in prayer. Most beloved Heavenly Parent, good morning. Thank you for a beautiful day, the lovely sunshine. We receive your love in so many different ways. Unfortunately, we don't even recognize it most of the time, how you are loving us through the fresh air that we can breathe and through this earth that we have that supports our feet. and through the people that we have in our lives. Heavenly Parent, through our parents, our siblings, our children, and especially through these special people that you have put in our life, through our true parents, through the example of Jesus. So much of your love is coming to us through them. We don't always recognize it. It's hard for us to know what that love means, but I pray that we can open up our hearts a bit to that today, and that we can receive that love, and we can be grateful to you, and we can be called to not just be happy that we have love, be happy that we have salvation, Heavenly Parent, but that we can be called to be that love for other people. We can be called to share that love to many people who are lacking in love, Heavenly Parent, and that we can be your hands and your feet and your words into a world that is starving for them, Heavenly Parent. Thank you for this day. We want to offer this Sunday, this service, and this week to you, and I pray this in my name, Michael and Adonia Henchik of a Blessed Central Family. Amen and adieu. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Adonia, for opening your heart and sharing, what the legacy of our true parent means to you, and also about redefining integrity. I felt like you were personally talking to me. I'm sure each and every person has something to walk away with. So thank you for preparing so intentionally and sharing integrity with us. Really appreciate it. So now we're going to shift to our offering and reflection time. So there's going to be some background music that will be played, and we have our fantastic welcome team that will be walking down the aisle. If you feel like you'd like to offer your tithe, now's your opportunity to do so. And then they'll pray, and the band will close us out shortly. Great. So now we're going to do a couple of local announcements. We have a lot going on as the summer closes out. So our first one is that we... as mentioned in my prayer and earlier today is the remembrance and celebration of the passing of our founder, Reverend Moon, 6 years ago. It's a major celebration that's happening in Korea right now, similar to the one that happened last year. So if you'd like to give a donation to support these events, you're welcome to do so. And additionally, here at the local level at noon today, we will be showing the video Faith and Reality in the chapel here, which depicts Reverend Moon's life. So if you'd like to learn more or get a refresher, please come here. It's an older video, but still very inspiring. So that's going to be at noon today. And additionally, if you're interested in joining any of the streaming events that are happening in the next couple days, you can check the email that the pastor sent out for the live link. And there's also going to be live video stream showing here in the church as well. Great. Our next announcement is that, is Anissa in the audience? Anissa? No? Okay, well, if we see Anissa, she has a couple minutes. She's more than welcome to come at the later end of the announcements. She has an announcement to make, so if she's here, Yes, today is the blessing. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. The stream is at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Yes, as seen here, yeah. Great, so our next announcement is that we're going to be doing a Who Are We presentation today, led by Pastor Mike in the French ministry room next to the cafe. So whether you're a new time or a long-term member, everybody is welcome to attend to learn a little bit more about who we are, where we're going, and our vision for this community. So please come out to learn a little bit more around who are we today in the French ministry room. Additionally, as we know, Dr. Hendrick is leading a Bible study every Thursday at 7 p.m. in the cafe. So if you're interested in digging in deeper and having some time during the week to connect to the Bible, please come, as we have new topics every week, and everybody leaves with a deeper understanding. So thank you, Dr. Hendrick, as usual, for running these, and these are every Thursday. This is an announcement about help needed. So Pastor Adonia and Pastor Mike are looking for any volunteers interested in recording and doing the management of the video during service. Thank you. As we see here, we have plenty of Divine Principle workshops coming up in Las Vegas at the International Peace Education Center. So if you're interested in attending, please let the pastors know. And as As you might know or might not know, these workshops are a very high quality experience and a great opportunity to focus on learning the divine principle on a deeper level, and they're offered either in 4-day or 7-day experiences. So if you can't go, please maybe write them down or remember them to share with a friend or somebody who might be able to go. This is the upcoming schedule for, as you can see, August, September, and October and November. And this is a picture of the IPEC Center, so you have a visual understanding of kind of where the workshops are held and the professional level that they're administered. So as you know, we're not all about, the church and the events, but we also about having fun as well. So every Friday we have a movie night, and the upcoming one is about Les Miserables. As you might know, this is a movie about redemption and second chances following the life of Jean Valjean, who spends 20 years in prison for stealing bread, and about his journey back to finding himself and avoiding an officer who's trying to put him back into jail. So if you're interested in coming out and watching a really well-produced movie, come out this Friday at 7 p.m. here at the church. As we know, all of our members and community members here always are trying to innovate and offer new things based on what they're passionate about and what they find joy in. So we have our member, Roger Furher, who will be kicking off a new outdoor and nature ministry next Sunday. It's so exciting. It's called The Amazing Natural World. And this upcoming Sunday, he's going to be leading a hike after church from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And this is going to be right outside of Evergreen. So if you're interested in joining and reconnecting to nature and hanging out with some great people, please come out. The hike is relatively easy and it has some amazing views. Please make sure to remember to bring hiking boots, no sandals or flip-flops. And it's going to be right outside of Evergreen, and everybody is welcome to come if you want to bring friends as well. And please talk to Roger if you have any questions. So thank you, Roger, for spearheading this as a ministry and inviting everybody to come join next Sunday for a fun hike. And next week, we're going to be having a couple of local community members really step up and help with volunteering. So we want to thank the Najuyang family who will be cooking lunch. And also we still are looking for volunteers for cleaning if anybody is open. So we really want to recognize this family. Valerie and Marionette and their 3 daughters have been relatively new joiners of our community, and we're so thrilled that they're helping us out here. They've been coming to our services since March and have really stepped up to cook for the whole community. So let's give them a big round of applause and appreciation. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you, and we're so excited for lunch today. So again, just a heads up, next week, please, if you're interested, we do still need some volunteers for cleaning. All right, so that comes to the end of our announcements. Thank you all for paying attention. It's such a great problem we have. We have so many activities and events going on that it takes a little bit longer than usual. So thank you all.